anxiety is our natural emotional response to a perceived threat. So if you think about those times when you get into the what ifs or excessive worry that something might happen or anticipating something and getting into that place of nervousness and noticing that your body feels charged with energy, let's say that your heart is beating faster or your palms are sweating or your breath is changing and it's more rapid, and just feeling that sense of nervousness all over in your body. So these are some quick tips to help you reduce that. The first one I would highly recommend is to download the Headspace app. And it is great because they have a lot of guided meditations on there, a lot of educational videos on there that are helpful just to kind of understand what's going on with your body and your emotions and how anxiety works, and then how meditation helps reduce that. And the other app that I would really recommend getting, it's one of my favorites because I have two of my meditations on there that you might want to check out, but it's called Insight Timer. And it's great because they have this way of connecting people all around the world, and you get this sense of community as you're trying to reduce your stress level and doing these meditations. They have guided visual imagery meditations, and they also have some that are just without any sort of words and they're just instrumental, so that's nice too. So going ahead and downloading that would be the first step, and having that as a consistent practice to keep your nervous system at a very calm state, and not just doing it when you're in those anxious crisis moments, but doing it every single day and keeping that in a regular habit. The next tip that I have is doing the 4-7-8 breath. And that's really easy. You just breathe in for a count of 4, you hold your breath for 7, and then you exhale for a count of 8. And you do that a few times, and that should help reduce your anxiety level, taking it down a couple notches. The third technique is to get a weighted blanket, and this is one that I love. I actually use a weighted blanket. Let me see if I can pull it up. I should have gotten this prepared beforehand, but I got mine on Amazon, and this was, I think it was like $100, maybe less than that. So this one I got for $80, and it is a 20-pound weighted blanket. And I use it every night, and it's really helpful in terms of being able to reduce anxiety. So this is the one that I got, and it's the 20-pound, and it's called YNM weighted blanket. It's great. I love it. Okay, the next tip is actually one that it's called Orienting Times 4. That's what I'm calling it. But it's a process, an assessment process that us therapists have to use when we are assessing clients for what's called a mental status exam. But I started telling clients to do this on themselves, and it's one that I get the most positive feedback on. So when my clients are out there in the world and they're feeling anxiety outside of my office and they're using this technique, they come back and tell me that it's the one that helped them the most. So Orienting Times 4 is orienting to yourself to person, place, time, and situation in the present moment. So what that would look like is right now, person, I'm here by myself in front of this laptop, and there's no one else in the room with me. Place, you start from macro to micro. So I am in the United States, I'm in Los Angeles, and at my desk in the corner of the office. And so you just get very specific to the present moment, and you ground yourself with that. Time would be, today is April the 17th, 2019, and right now it is 11:04 a.m. And I notice that the sun is shining and it's still morning time. And situation, I am now recording a video to give you guys some tips to lower your anxiety. So it just gets very present in the moment, and that could be helpful to just reduce your anxiety a bit. The next one is to just check in with all of your senses. So another grounding technique to reduce your anxiety, and just noticing, okay, so as I close my eyes, what sounds am I hearing in this moment? So right now I'm hearing the cars outside the window or the people walking outside of my office. and I'm noticing that I can smell the tea that's sitting on my desk that I heated earlier this morning. And I am noticing that I can feel the chair holding me up underneath me and the ground underneath my feet, and the warmth from the heater that I turned on, so I can feel that against my skin. And I'm seeing the pictures on the walls and the light on my desk. And so just checking in with all of your senses. The next one is moving your body. And this one's very important because we end up increasing those feel-good chemicals in our bodies. So our endorphins go up, our serotonin goes up when we're exercising, and just going for a walk outside or even doing some stretches in the middle of the day and being able to do yoga. You can even do it in your office. You can follow a YouTube video or you can go to a class, but taking a light walk and then making sure that you're moving your body is also going to help regulate your nervous system. The next one is to change your environment. So if you're noticing that you're in a high stress situation, or if you end up being more introverted, or you are more empathic and you pick up on a lot of people's energy, just being able to recharge and restore and replenish your energy is going to be important. So removing yourself from that excessive stimuli, so everything around you. So it might mean to step out of the room for a little bit. It might mean to go for a light walk and step outside. Or it could mean that maybe you can't leave the situation. Maybe you're in class, or maybe you're in a meeting at work, and to shift your body a bit. So it could be as much as just shifting your energy and focus of attention, not directly to that person, but shifting your body, maybe putting a notebook in front of you, taking some deep breaths, and being able to recognize that space. Another one to reduce your anxiety is to label it, and just simply saying, that's my anxiety, or that's a nervous thought, and just allowing yourself to recognize that it's temporary and to identify where you're at 0 to 10 on that scale. So right now my anxiety is at a 7. How can I bring it down to a 5? And trying to use some of those techniques we talked about. And how can I bring it down to a 3? Slowing it down and being in that space of having patience with yourself and knowing that it's temporary. The next one is something that I believe they use on Headspace. It's the train or clouds or cars technique. So just recognizing that your thoughts are temporary, and you imagine that your thought is on a car and it's just slowly driving by and it fades away. And then you notice another thought is on another car and it's slowly driving by. And so these nervous thoughts are there, you're attending to them, but you're also not attached to them. They're temporary, and it's not going to be something overwhelming or all-consuming. So that's another technique. And with the train, it's imagining that the scenery is going by. So those thoughts are just the scenery out the window. And with the clouds, allowing your thoughts to just be on a cloud, and you're just kind of watching that cloud drift away, and it's temporary. So again, these are some techniques that some of these guided meditations have on those apps that I mentioned with Headspace. I think also the Calm app does this as well. They're really using a lot of these techniques that are helpful. Okay, the next one would be to discipline your mind. Every time you think of what if, you train yourself to replace it with what is. So instead of feeding that anticipatory anxiety of what if this happens, what might happen, you go back and redirect it to the present with what is happening, or what do I have control of in this very moment. And you start with those strengths, or you start with grounding yourself. Those are some quick anxiety tips that I hope you find helpful.